and welcome to Breakfast for Pancakes. I'm your host, PK Sullivan. I realized my last two videos could sort of paint me as a food snob. That's really not the case. I do love good food, but I'm also not somebody who's just obsessed with haute cuisine. So to prove it, this week I'm going back to one of my childhood favorites, French bread pizza. But in my own vein, I'm going to do what I can to sort of bring it forward a little bit, make it so that it's more of an adult meal rather than a kid's snack. I'm going to use quality ingredients and a couple of cooking methods that will make for an overall better food. It's still not going to be fancy. It's going to be a fun, simple dish that you can make using ingredients that you have around the home. I'm going to use this opportunity to show you how to make a quick pizza sauce and some quick Italian sausage. You don't have to do that. Store-bought is just fine. I like to make my own for both of these things. Let's get to it.
Preparing the sausage.
Ingredients: ground pork, fennel seeds, black peppercorns, kosher salt, garlic powder, dried oregano, dried basil. To toast your fennel seeds, add them to a small pan over medium heat. Stir the fennel or shake the pan frequently to keep them from burning. Cook them until they're brown and fragrant. The color change is gradual, so you may not notice it, but if you compare them to raw fennel seeds, you'll see the difference clearly. Add the fennel seeds and peppercorns to a spice grinder. Use 1-second pulses until the spices are finely ground. With the pork in a medium bowl, add the ground spices, salt, garlic powder, oregano, and basil. If you want a spicy sausage, add red pepper flakes or minced Calabrian chilies. Put on a pair of nitrile gloves to keep your hands clean as you mix the sausage. Mix the sausage by hand using a firm grabbing motion so that it is pushed through your fingers. This will mix the seasonings into the sausage while agitating the meat. Ground meat releases proteins called myosin when it is worked. This makes the sausage sticky and cohesive, which is what we want for this recipe. The sausage is done when it holds together as a loose mass when you move it around the bowl.
Preparing the sauce.
Ingredients: crushed tomatoes, 1 garlic clove, minced, kosher salt, basil, oregano. Use a microplane grater to mince your clove of garlic. A good one is less than $10 and is indispensable in the kitchen. Simply put the grater over a small bowl and grate the clove of garlic like any other food. If a flap of skin forms, turn the clove around and grate it away. When mincing garlic this way, you end up with a fine paste of garlic. This gives maximum flavor without changing the texture of a sauce. Set a medium saucepan over medium heat. Add the crushed tomatoes, garlic, salt, oregano, and basil. Stir to combine and bring to a boil. Simmer with a time lapse for about 15 minutes. You want to cook the tomatoes so they develop flavor and they don't taste raw. Let your sauce simmer picture in picture while you preheat a 12-inch skillet over high heat. Add your sausage, break it apart with your favorite wooden spatula, and then let it sit to brown. Once the entire bottom has taken on color, flip the sausage as best you can and begin to break it up into small pieces. Let it cook until the sausage is fully cooked through.
Preparing the bread.
Here's where things get different. Don't cut your French bread like a sub. Instead, cut slices on a fairly extreme bias like you would for crostini or bruschetta. We're going to treat these like grilled cheese. Preheat a griddle or pan on the stove. Butter one side of each slice thoroughly, and toast the slices butter side down until golden brown. This develops a beautiful buttery bottom crust for our pizza. Set a rack to the highest position and preheat your oven to its highest temperature. Mine goes to 550 Fahrenheit. Assemble your pizzas on a baking sheet. Spoon some sauce onto each slice. Add the sausage. And top with shredded mozzarella. I won't tell you how much cheese to use because that is a personal decision. That said, 8 ounces should be enough for a family of 4 outside of Wisconsin. Repeat with your remaining slices. With your oven as hot as it will get, turn on your broiler. Give it a minute to do its thing, then slide your pan into the oven directly under the broiler. Let the pizza cook for about 3 minutes. Remove when the cheese is melted and/or you smell the bread begin to char. What I like to see when I make French bread pizza is just a little bit of browning on the cheese and nice browning on the crust. If you look at the bottom, you'll see it's still the golden brown toast from when we griddled it. That adds the richness and crispiness to the bottom that I was talking about. Now for the tasting. Instantly takes me back to being a little kid, having a French bread pizza. The buttered bottom of the crust changes it, makes it more like some of the deep dish places that I'm familiar with here in Chicago. This is one of my favorite quick and easy dinners. You can always serve it with extra sauce for dipping. That's a fun idea. Break out the Parmesan herbs and red peppers, just like it's a Pizza Hut from the 1980s. What's not to love about making your own French bread pizza? I mean, really. Using the slices changes the dish quite a bit. It's no longer a fork and knife affair. Pick it up and eat it with your hands, sort of the way you would with a slice of regular pizza. You still get the immense crunch from the edges of the French bread because those still dry out, but there isn't so much of that anymore that you end up with a huge powdery mess in your mouth. The sauce still soaks down into the bread, which is one of my favorite things about French bread pizza. Toasting the bottom prevents the sauce from soaking all the way through, so you don't end up with a soggy bottom. Nobody likes a soggy bottom. If you haven't had French bread pizza before, please try it. It's just a delight. It brings me back to being a little kid, makes me happy. I think it'll do the same even for people who didn't have them growing up. It's just a fun, playful little dish to have for dinner. This is great for families. Little kids can build their own. If you buy a jarred sauce and pepperoni slices, you don't even have to do any stovetop prep other than toasting your slices. This week's shout out goes to my sister Kate. We grew up cooking. It's a lifelong passion for both of us, and it's brought us closer together as adults than we ever were as kids. Love you, Kate. Thank you for your support. As always, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out as a new content creator. Patreon is coming. I keep saying that, but it is, trust me. And don't forget, when we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll be doing a small giveaway. Now, it's time for dinner, and I've got to have some more French bread pizza. Until next time.